For over a week now, the mainstream sports media has been running with this laughable story about a Duke volleyball player, a female volleyball player, Rachel Richardson, who said that throughout the entirety of a match with BYU, she was being yelled racial slurs. There were being N-words just chucked at her all the time throughout the entirety of this match. For hours, there was people yelling the N-word at her. Unfortunately for Rachel Richardson, no one can find any evidence of this. No one else on the floor heard it. No one in the student section heard it. The police who were asked to go over there to find this, they couldn't hear it. Nobody heard this. Video, audio recordings, nothing can prove that this ever fucking happened. Yet the mainstream sports media jumped on top of this. And now the police are saying we can find no evidence that anyone yelled the N-word towards Rachel Richardson. Of course, this has all been promoted by her godmother, who is actually running for a campaign right now for political office. The same person who Will Kane has found out, the person who is spreading this, they have a history of racist, anti-white shit. Isn't that,
Look at that.
surprising?
God,
Look at all these
so
fucking
funny.
tweets of racist shit against white people. But that has not stopped everyone in college sports from standing behind Rachel Richardson. Look at this nonsense. Penn State, we are blackout racism. Stand with Rachel Richardson. Maryland volleyball, unite against racism. Northwestern, unite against racism. Blackout racism. Big East Conference, we stand with her. Hawaii, stand against racism. Harvard, stand against racism. This is a hoax. This did not happen, just like so many other times, but has not stopped every single college out there, every single mainstream sports outlet. They are preaching it from the heavens because it goes along with their narrative.
Yep. And this is why we always get so frustrated with this nonsense. Everybody's tired of this. Everybody's tired of this. Whenever you hear this, you know, people that live in the real world, that live in reality, we hear this and we're going, wait, there was someone just screaming the N-bomb? Like, that doesn't even sound real. You know what I mean? It sounds like a made up story. And then 9 times out of 10, it is 100% a made up story. And the reason it keeps happening is because the people that are pushing this, they're never held accountable. They're never held accountable for their lies and their bullshit. They're celebrated for it. They're celebrated. This person's being celebrated for lies. This is bullshit. And this is why so many people just roll their eyes at it, because when there is a real situation out there that needs to be addressed, too many people have already been conditioned to just dismiss it because of people like this. People that'll make shit up to play a fake victim and use fake outrage. So when you see a situation out there that needs to be addressed, no one even wants to anymore, because we're like, no, fuck you. Because of people like this fucking loser right here. And the fact that so many teams out there are highlighting it and celebrating it and virtue signaling off of it, it's disgusting. They're terrified to be called a racist themselves. That's all this comes down to. It's not surprising at all. But this is why sports is such trash in most ways right now, because there's so much of this nonsense. Trash talking is part of it. Talking shit is part of it. No, if there's something like that happens, then it would need to be addressed if it ever did happen. But hey, guess what? It didn't fucking happen. It's disgusting.
Yeah, what do you think, Beardo?
I think there's a few things that don't add up. Yes, to Jeremy's point, it doesn't matter if it's the truth or not, because then they're going to hit you with, oh, well, it could happen. Stuff like this happens all the time. So you just, you almost have to pretend that it happened, because this stuff happens all the time. Or they come out and they say this stuff happens, and then there's no evidence. And then it's like, oh, well, it could happen. Listen to her truth. And it's like, it's all fucking bullshit. And then as far as like this happening at a sporting event, people fight in the stands of sporting events for less. You're telling like, so these people, these fans, they're already amped up. They already have so much adrenaline or beers or whatever. They fight in the stands for less. So I think bystanders, if you're really going to hear this, somebody shouting the N-word towards a woman, and I mean, she's a good looking woman, she, a young college athlete, and you're going to hear this in the stands, I don't buy it. I don't believe that somebody wouldn't have taken action against this.
Yes. Yep. This is not a normal thing. people want to pretend that this is normal in this country. It's not. The idea of a white dude screaming the N-word at like a 20-year-old black girl and just nobody says anything, nobody notices it, come on, man. That does not happen. This is not real. I know there's some simps out there that would have defended her just for a chance to get some pussy, to be honest with you. Like, like, this is not reality. And for it to be spreading like this, and no one calling it, this is Jussie Smollett. This is Bubba Wallace. This is Myles Garrett. When Myles Garrett went crazy, went ballistic, and ripped off Mason Rudolph's helmet, hit him in the head with it, and then tried to claim, oh, well, you know, it's because he said the N-word. I didn't want to say it, but it's because he said the N-word. And every black player on the field who was standing closer to Mason Rudolph than he was like, no, he didn't. That did not happen. We talked about Tyrann Mathieu said that Tom Brady said the N-word. That didn't happen. Russell Westbrook, people bring it up in the chat. Russell Westbrook claimed that someone in Utah at a Jazz game yelled the N-word at him. None of this shit is happening, and there is real racism in the world. Every time one of these people makes this shit up, it cheapens like all the real shit that does happen, because people will be less likely to believe it when you continue to get lies pushed like this.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's, again, every single time something like this happens, then you find out the grandmother is out there just pushing all of this anti-white bullshit. And it all comes back as projection. Those that preach the loudest have the most to hide every single time. Every time.